Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Tyson Fury exposes Deontay Wilder, and let's just dig right into it. Now, when the fight started against Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, it basically came out to the point where Tyson Fury was throwing a lot of feints at Deontay Wilder, eliminating his jab, doing all the things that Tyson Fury is known to do. These are the same things he did against Vladimir Klitschko that worked so well, and he was very successful at doing. Now, when I say expose Deontay Wilder, I mean basically showing the world what we've all been seeing, but a lot of his fanboys and the biased media have not. And so to expose someone is to basically reveal the truth about who they really are. If you look at Deontay Wilder, he's not a fighter that can box. He is not. You have a lot of guys saying that, Deontay Wilder is this guy who can adjust and do different things. He can't. You can see that he cannot adjust. He cannot make in-ring adjustments. He has the worst training staff in corner in boxing, and he has not improved his game over 40 fights. He just has not. All he was doing the entire fight, he never made one adjustment. All he did the entire fight is look to land the right hand, and he threw it wild again and again and again. He looked completely foolish. Forget about who won and who lost, because we all know that Tyson Fury won the fight. Anybody tells you that Tyson Fury didn't win the fight is a complete and utter Wilder fanboy. I don't like to call people fanboys unless it's warranted. That's warranted, because there's no way that you can legitimately say that Deontay Wilder won enough rounds to win this fight. There's absolutely no way. None. And it's unjustifiable. The judges who called this fight should not be allowed to judge again, because at this point they did such a piss poor job. They can't be held to a high standard of judging a fight of this caliber ever again, period. If we're honest about ourselves, Deontay Wilder has looked this exact same way in many other fights. He has just never been exposed on this level before. Let's go back to the Luis Ortiz fight. And when he fought Luis Ortiz was a smaller man. He got tired around the 5th round, and that's when he initially got dropped. When Luis Ortiz got dropped, basically after that point, Luis Ortiz rallied, came back, and most people felt like he was hurting and even possibly stopped Wilder in the 7th round. Later in the fight, I believe it was the 10th round, Luis Ortiz got stopped. And a lot of people felt like, especially at the time of the fight, that he got hit in the back of the head, similar to the first knockdown in the Tyson Fury fight. What a lot of people don't want to look at is Luis Ortiz is a very good fighter. He's a very talented fighter. And when I say that he's not elite, that's no shot at Luis Ortiz. That's not saying Luis Ortiz isn't a good fighter. He isn't a competent fighter, and he isn't good. Luis Ortiz is a good fighter. He's very competent. He has a good skill set and can compete with anybody. We know that. There's more than one way that you can win a fight. You can win a fight boxing. You don't always have to knock the guy out, and you don't always have to stop the guy. Let's be honest and unbiased. But at the same time, Luis Ortiz is not elite, and this is why he's not elite, because he's 40 years old basically, because he has blood pressure issues, because he's overweighted, has stamina issues against a top level fighter. So against those type of guys, he's never won the world champion. He's never fought an elite fighter and won, period. When he fought Deontay Wilder, he got stopped because he got tired, he was out of shape, and he's older. Let's be honest about who Luis Ortiz is. No one's scared of Luis Ortiz. No one's ducking Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz could have had an Anthony Joshua fight if he would have waited on the mandatory to be called. At the time that happened, Anthony Joshua had multiple mandatories. Now, on the reverse end, if you look at Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz decided to take the Wilder fight right away, felt he could beat him, and he got stopped ultimately. It is what it is. And Deontay Wilder lost the majority of those rounds, if you were being honest and unbiased. But when you look at the judges' scorecards after the fact, they had Luis Ortiz down on the card, which lets me know that beating Deontay Wilder is not going to be something that you can do in the US. You have to beat him in Europe. You have to go to the UK and you have to defeat him. If I was Anthony Joshua, if I was Tyson Fury, if I was any of those guys, I would not fight Deontay Wilder on US soil, because they have him up in fights where he's clearly being outboxed, where he's clearly being outworked, where he's clearly not doing anything to deserve to win these rounds, and yet somehow he keeps being in the fights. A knockdown is not enough to overcome 4 or 5 straight rounds. It's just not. And so that lets me know that there's fanboying for Deontay Wilder. It seems to be rigged and set up to some degree, but at the end of the day, stopping Deontay Wilder is probably the best way to get him and to defeat him. Deontay Wilder's been hurt against an Eric Molina, Chris Areola. Deontay Wilder's been hurt. He's been outboxed by a Gerald Washington. These are guys he shouldn't be outboxed by. Let's just be honest about this. Deontay Wilder does not have the boxing ability to compete at the high and elite level against the best fighters. He only has a right hand, and that's the only reason why he's in any of these fights, because he has such tremendous elite level power in that right hand. If he ever loses that power, he's done. He's completely done. Now, Tyson Fury is an elite level fighter. And I told everyone that I knew that there was no way that Tyson Fury was going to come into this fight laying down. You can't judge Tyson Fury off of any of his tune-up fights because he's too good. He's going to show up. Tyson Fury should be the rightful world champion right now, but unfortunately he's not. I think if we look to the future on Deontay Wilder and you see what type of fighter he is, a lot of the guys that I'm hearing are saying, these guys don't want to fight him. No one wants to fight him. It makes sense why Deontay Wilder didn't want to fight Dillian Whyte in the UK, because basically the offer for Dillian Whyte was an estimated $5 million plus, and the purse that came out was estimated about $4 million for Wilder to fight Fury in LA. And so if you look at those purses, he would have made more money, and he still would get pay-per-view buys in both countries. And so it looks like the reason why he chose the Fury fight over a Dillian Whyte fight is because he understood that Dillian Whyte is a dangerous fighter. He understood that if it went to the cards, he would not have been favored. And Dillian Whyte has the power in his hands. Because he's not highly rated in the U.S., there's a reason Wilder's not taking dangerous fights. Wilder's only taken fights where he feels he has the advantage. He took the Tyson Fury fight because he thought he was done. The majority of the boxing world thought he was done. Dan Rafael said after the fight that he thought that Deontay Wilder won that fight. This is why the IBFP exists, because a guy like Dan Rafael, a guy who can't tell it like it is, a guy that cannot be unbiased, is not a guy that you can keep, that you can take seriously. He's just not. So a guy like Dan Rafael is too biased for his own good. He's not a guy that you can look for honest and unbiased commentary. Lennox Lewis was 100% unbiased. He didn't know who to pick and basically stated himself. Tyson won that fight and Deontay Wilder got exposed. Anyone that has no stake in the fight knows that Tyson Fury won the fight. Let's just be 100% honest. When they said that Dan Rafael had it for Wilder, that means he's no longer a credible journalist. This is why the IBFP exists. When you look at a guy like Paulie Malignaggi, he had it for Tyson Fury. He has no reason to be biased. He has no favoritism for Tyson Fury. Floyd Mayweather, no favoritism for Tyson Fury. He had it for Tyson Fury, winning the fight. Triple G, Abel Sanchez, both had it for Tyson Fury. They have no reason to be biased for Tyson Fury and say that he didn't win the fight. Andre Ward had it for Tyson Fury. And it's funny, the same people who applauded Andre Ward when he said that, Canelo beat Triple G are the same guys that are bashing Andre Ward for saying that Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. At the end of the day, if you're gonna hold a guy in high regard and basically what he says as an expert and unbiased, then you got to be 100% honest about it. And if there was any indication that these guys are fanboys, this fake biased new media that's coming out with all these videos trying to say there was a slow 10 count for Tyson Fury, to be honest with you, I must have watched the fight 10 times over and over and over again since it played, and there's absolutely no way was that a long 10 count period. Tyson Fury got up. He deserves all the credit. There should be no excuses. Tyson Fury won that fight. There's not a doubt about it. Deontay Wilder got completely outboxed and outworked, and he was humiliated. He has been exposed at an elite level of boxing. If he does not land his right hand, he should win no fight. Period. If it goes 12 rounds against anybody else, he will not win that fight. If there's a rematch with Tyson Fury, he will not win that fight. Tyson Fury is not even at the elite level, the point where he was before against a Klitschko, where he's in such great shape. He's still coming off of two tune-ups in that long layoff, imagine a better and more in shape Tyson Fury in the next 3, 4, 5 months. He's going to give it to Wilder at an elite level that Wilder's never seen or not going to be able to pay for. I think that in a rematch with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, seeing how thoroughly Wilder was outboxed, I don't think Tyson Fury gets knocked down in this next fight. I even think Tyson Fury potentially stops Deontay Wilder in this next fight, because I believe that Tyson Fury caught him flush on the jaw multiple times, swelled up his eye, clearly and visibly hurt Deontay Wilder and kept him off of him. A lot of guys say, Tyson Fury has no power. And I warned everyone that he has power. He has pop in his shot. He's a big man. He's 6'9". He has the height and reach advantage. And those are things that are going to come along. Tyson Fury just had 12 rounds with this guy, and when you compare guys, the more skilled fighter always looks better in the second fight. Why? Because he's had time to study what he did wrong and right in the first fight, and he can come back stronger and better. And plus, Tyson Fury, it had an extra 12 rounds at a top level fight with this same guy. He is going to destroy Deontay Wilder. I believe he'll stop him within 6 rounds in this next fight, because I believe Tyson Fury is going to employ a different game plan. I believe that he's going to be a little bit more aggressive, but he'll also be a lot quicker, smoother, and more efficient in his punch selection. And in the UK, he'll have no reason to worry about it going to a decision. Basically, at this point, after seeing everything that has happened, Deontay Wilder has been exposed as an elite level fighter. He is not elite. He is not a top 3 world fighter in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. I do believe Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are far and miles ahead of him. I think his right hand is the only thing that he has, and eventually he will lose a fight to a lesser opponent that's not Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, for the simple fact that it may go 12 rounds. Some guy may get up for his shots. And you have to also look at this last tidbit, is that Tyson Fury got up for 2 huge shots from Deontay Wilder's right hand. 2 huge shots. He got up twice. Luis Ortiz got up from one of his shots. So if you look at this thing in its totality, fighters in his previous fights weren't getting up from those shots. In his last 2 most difficult fights, his step-up fights, guys have been getting up from these shots. Imagine if they can finish the deal. You have to look at a Luis Ortiz who's completely out of shape. It would not be the same for an Anthony Joshua. You have to be 100% honest. You have to be 100% unbiased, because if Deontay Wilder gets hit with the same shots that Tyson Fury hit him with by Anthony Joshua, that fight is over in 3 rounds, period. And once again, it's the IBFP, unbiased. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.